Hey everybody, Yoda here from Grumpy Acres Farm. So interesting conversations have been coming up, and we're talking about prepping and we're talking about homesteading and how those come together. So have you thought about what's in your library? So I got a gift and I've been meaning to pull it out, and so G found it, and I was going through that today. And there's something that I want to share with you what you should have in your prepping library. All right, so we're going to start here. And there was a folder that was put together, and it's got some graphs and that kind of thing. And this actually came from a friend of ours that passed away, and his daughter let us go through his items, and we were able to pull things that worked for us. Now, when I first saw this folder, I believe that his granddaughter also thought the same thing. We thought that this folder was full of flowers, and that's all it had, was just things on flowers for our state. I went through it tonight, and I was pleasantly surprised. And G saw it, and G said, you need to do a video on this. So I'm going to do a video on it. All right, guys, so what we start with, the first thing is the state flowers, right? So all the wild things, grasses, this is Kansas Wildflowers and Grasses. You could probably find this somewhere on the internet for your state. This one came from kansaswildflower.org. And so, geez, he put this out in 2011, printed it out, and put all of it together. So I'm just going through here, and I'm seeing so much stuff that we actually have on our property. Was amazed by that. Why is this important? So let's go to 2. Now we have sedges, rushes, ferns, and related plants. Okay, so there's a whole section on that. Then we come over, and it's got grasses, all the grasses that are growing in the state of Kansas. So then we go to another section, and it's flowers bloom in March, purple, blue, lavender, and violet wildflowers. Let's see, henbit, Johnny lump up, pawpaw petals, and sepal. Small bluets, spring beauty, tharp spiderwort, and wild violet. Anything raise any flags there? You guys see anything in common? All right, so we've got redbud, rue, anemone, spring beauty, and henbit. Are any of those edible, or any of those medicine? And then, you know, there's just all kinds of stuff. So then he has everything separated by your yellow, white, blue, purple, that kind of thing, which is super cool. Again, there's another section on here, flowers that bloom in April, right? And so then we have flowers that bloom in May. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going, right? Right, and all the way down to June, and I believe it just goes all through, right? So we're in July, now August, September, a lot of fun because I'm seeing a lot of this stuff, October, and then we go into winter, right? So, of course, this year is a little bit different. Now we go into a section, and this is wilderness survival. And so does it mean you have to be out in the wild? No. There's a lot of stuff that it actually grows in the suburbs. So survival use of plants, edibility of plants, this is in the folder. Then it goes down, we've got arrowroot, shows you how to use it, what the edible parts are, then it has some notes in there. Let's see, curly dock. He's even got some different things lined up, and little notes in here, which is kind of fun. Foxtail grass, edible parts to foxtail grass. Hackberry, edible parts. And so it just keeps going and going. We're down to mulberry and oak. All right, I just actually have a bucket here of acorns. Going to try to do some acorn flour and see how that goes. I got to get the tannin boiled out of that. Plantain, I do a lot with plantain. Plantain is medicine, plantain is food. There's a lot of that going on. Purslane. Purslane is actually edible, also medicine, all right? So there's just a lot here. So sorrel, oh my gosh, you know, sorrel is great. And there's edible parts to it. Have it in a salad. Go ahead and if you want, you can mix it with other things. Thistle, right? Now, we've always learned that thistle is just a weed and we need to get that out of there. Well, guess what? There's edible parts to it and it's medicine. Water lily. Did you know that water lilies have edible parts and then also is medicinal? So you guys, there's just so much here and we can just keep going and going. And let's see, where did he get a lot of this stuff? This one came from wildwoodsurvival.com. Survival food, edible plant, cucumber root. Cucumber root that is actually wild, and just a lot of stuff in there. So we've got all of that, and then it even goes down and breaks down making flour infused syrup, making blossom ice cubes. It talks about the jasmine, the ginger, the dill, the fennel, cilantro, chamomile, breaks down your teas, and oh my gosh, there's just so much information here. Oh, have you ever heard of this? Flower butter. So I think I might have to try that, and we'll see what we come up with. I've got some roses that came up that might be kind of fun to do. Oh, marigold. Okay, so I can make a marigold flower. I got plenty of marigolds in there, so I can get those out. Pansies, I'll have to wait for next spring, but yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, flavors depend. So for roses, flavors depend on the type, color, and soil conditions. So there's just a lot of information in here, good things to have in your survival guide, right? Then we go in and water hemlock and bulblet bearing water hemlock. And so talks about that kind of stuff, what to do with that. We don't need to go into it. We don't want to get kicked off here. But definitely goods, bads, things that you need to know about that. Then he goes in and in another section, excuse me, he's got a food storage calculator, and he found that ruprepared.com. And so there's a food storage calculator in there. He broke it down all the way up to 10 people. Super easy. Was looking at the numbers, really not bad. Let's see, decoding the mystery dates on food packages. So a lot of myths to that, different things. Funny thing is that everything goes back, and what a lot of people are talking about is the USDA and government recommendations, but this stuff kind of breaks it down for you. Let's see, then it goes into the non-hybrid seed packs and talks about that stuff. Then it goes into hybrid, that kind of thing. Freeze drying at home. It talks about that. There's some stuff on here I don't agree with. Now, again, this was printed in 2011. We've kind of come up and figured that stuff out. There's, you know, just different things. So anyway, let's see. It's got canning tips in here. I was kind of laughing as I was going through. You guys know I love my heritage canning, and I was just laughing at some of the Q&A in here. It just kind of killed me. And then there's a whole guide on your pH balance and where everything needs to be when you're canning it. Again, those are recommendations from the government. I mean, man, there was one in there that was on whether or not you play Russian roulette if you do anything with canned bread or brownies or any of that. You guys that know me, you know I do that. G eats them up like crazy, and he's not dead. And when I was looking at, I like to do that because I can portion it for him, and then he can just take that, and I don't have to worry about whether or not he's going to eat too much, and he knows to stay with that stuff. So anyway, I do that, and so some of this stuff I just kind of laughed at. But anyway, then he's actually got some personal emails in here. Somebody broke down and put an emergency first aid kit for him in here. And it goes all the way down, splinters and sprains, you need what was recommended: blisto band, elastic bandages, 3 inches, 2 of them, elastic bandages, 6 inches, 1 of them, mole foam, 4 inches by 3.5 inches, pressure point padding, you need 2 of those, Moleskin Plus, and then it goes into burns and rashes, sunscreen, hydrant cream, I know throat iPads, instruments, medications, pocket content. I mean, it just goes on, and it's pretty thick. Wound cleaning, treating survival. Let's see, and then he added some other stuff on here. Probably came back within another email. So he's got Benadryl on here. Instructions on how to do a tourniquet. Oh, okay, so some of these were added in later because I actually remember this class. This is something that he picked up at camp, I believe. Occlusive seal for open chest wounds, means of sustaining airway, combat casualty, reference cards. So I didn't come across those, so I'm not sure that those are in here, but we'll figure it out. And then let's see, he's got from the National Survival Center, there's some stuff in here, pretty dang good information, more medical survival kit, bug out bag content, that kind of thing. Just a way for you guys to get started, right? And then there's a whole, let's see, 2 pages, fish antibiotics, how to break them down, analog questions, that kind of thing. So I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to tell you how to use those. And pretty easy to figure out, though. Then he's got from the survivalblog.com, use of fish antibiotics, so how to use them, that kind of thing. Colloidal silver use, there's some information on here. We do have a lot of friends that do the colloidal silver. Gosh, man, he's got a lot on that. Colloidal silver, I do know, is great for wounds and scrapes and that kind of thing. And body medicine, boy, there's a lot on it. Then, oh, even on gold, history of health support, uses of gold. And, yeah, sometimes our metals, I know I had a scan done one time, and they were telling me what I needed to wear and what I needed to use. Here's another thing. He actually kept things from magazines that he thought were important things. New Survival Seed Bank, Let You Plant a Full Acre Crisis Garden. And it breaks down prices and that kind of thing. And let's see a date on that. I'm going to assume that's also somewhere around 2011. But that's a whole thing. Sea nutrients, make plants grow like crazy. So just several articles like that. So that's a whole section. And then food storage. So it breaks down how to store your rice. And we do get a lot of questions on that, believe it or not. A lot of people, they get different suggestions on how to do that. And so it does make a difference. And then food storage on your wheat and how to clean it, that kind of thing. Cooking essentials. So what are some of the cooking essentials that are needed to cook with the main food staples in long-term food storage? So this breaks all that down. Let's see, that came from the Extension Office, so probably from K-State. And then, there's a whole thing on that. Packaging, foil pouches, glass canning jars, plastic bottles, etc. So it talks about that. Then it's got part 2, techniques for food storage. Guys, we don't know when our internet's going to go down, right? So this is a great idea. Just to go ahead and print these out and have them in your library. We get so reliant on our phones and we get so reliant on that Google that, we just, I don't know, I think we take advantage of that. Water treatment chemicals, potassium, alum, lime. It breaks all this down, fluoride, then there's questions on it, how to do it. So whole section on this, all the way down to chlorine methods, etc. How to save tomato seeds. And so he's got, I think that's in the wrong section. I need to put that somewhere else. Then there's a wellness directory. And so it breaks down this kind of stuff. Let's see, production of chlorine is energy intensive and wasteful. Byproducts of chlorine production are toxic to aquatic life. Just all kinds of things in there. So it even goes down to UV lighting, etc. Yeah, so there's all kinds of stuff like that in here. And then, oh gosh, then he's got, so we'll get in here, he's got a guide on 72-hour emergency kit. And then what did I see? Earthquake and disaster preparedness kits. And when I was in California, whew, I've seen some things. And it just goes on and on. Dogs don't leave home without it gear, and so there's some stuff on that. And oh man, I mean, there's just so much stuff. Personal equipment and supplies to be kept in the house, additional option equipment and supplies, transportation, mountain bike, sport utility vehicle or truck, personal protection group. It's got, you know, what you need to have in that. So what is that? Toilet paper, hand sanitizer, packaged wipes, leather work gloves, hard hats, safety goggles, premium dust mist respirators, disposable, bandana or cravat, and then sturdy backpack to hold all the items in the kit. Change outdoors work clothing appropriate to climate for each person, and sometimes the men do forget, so it's really important, ladies, that we remember, because you never know what's going to happen in there. Tampons or sanitary napkins, pads for each woman who, yeah, no, we don't have to go there. Don't want to gross out any of the guys. And then equipped to survive on your own. And so there's a whole guide on that. And then the really fun part, so it talks about, oh, there's a section on honey and honey storage, etc. Super simple on that one. Yeah, I mean, it even breaks down edible flowers. So you've got that, typical weapon caches. So it talks about things like that. I was really surprised by this because it even goes down to like wrenches and that kind of thing. Shows you how to make different caches, and you can get all that in there. Where do you find that? Let's see. Oh, somebody might have sent this to him. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know. Look up a long-term survival guide. You guys probably find it. Looks like he got most of this stuff off the internet. Then a survival food list. And so there's that kind of stuff. And then 10 vegetables you can grow without full sun. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff. So if you can think of it, print it out, look up, get the information online. Doesn't mean, like I said, I went through stuff. There's stuff that I didn't agree with. There's stuff that I know that I can do a little bit different from what it's saying because, I don't know, y'all know my feelings on the FDA, USDA, that kind of thing. So, but it's a really thick binder. And I'm not sure that this is all we need. I think that we'll go back and maybe add some more. This is a great idea. And we'll add some more, and this will definitely stay in our library. One of the important things, what happens if something happens to me or G, and then our kids are left to come in and, you know, our house, our land, theirs. And so they come in and they take over. They don't know how to identify any of these plants. They don't know what's edible, what's not edible. They should, but they don't. And so now I've got a really quick reference guide for them that they can come in and they can check all this out and be able to reference pictures to what is out here and use some common sense, right? So that's one thing that my kiddos do have is some common sense. Now I question that sometimes when they are teenagers, but they've got common sense. So I don't know. I just think that this is important, something to put in your arsenal, right? And something that we just don't think about every day. We're always going and picking up books here and some books there, but wouldn't it be nice to have just a quick reference guide? Because sometimes you can't go and sit down through 30 books in one day when you're in immediate emergency, right? So I've got a whole medical area in here that I can actually reference to tragedy, or something happens, I can actually reference and go through real quick. Okay, here's some ideas, here's what I need, and I can go grab those items and do the best I can to make it work. Now, that being said, educate yourself, get a CPR class, learn that kind of stuff. Everybody needs to know. So I have at a couple times actually had to use CPR, and luckily I saved some lives. So I don't know, it comes in handy. So all right guys, just a really quick tip, and yeah, Yoda's tip of the day. So yeah, put yourself a quick reference guide together and get it on the shelf. Now, if you want to change any of those recommendations and you know that you can do something different, just add a note in there and just say, this is what's recommended by USDA, et cetera, and then here's how I do it or how I did it. And that way you've got that reference in there too. So my kids know how I can, and they'll be able to go through and hopefully pick that up if need be. So, I don't know. All right, guys, that's the tip of the day. Be prepared, be safe, and we love you all. Go live a life that's
free. Thanks, Milo.